Very good morning, children. This video is for class 10th science chapter number 6 life processes, and this is lecture number 3. So children, in our previous lecture number 2, we have seen the digestive system of humans. Today we are going to study the second life process, which is respiration. So children, let's get started. So before knowing what respiration is, first we should understand that what is our basic requirement, why all these life processes are occurring. So the main reason or the destination is to have the energy or to fulfill the requirement of energy of all the cells of human body. So finally the energy is required through some processes. So we know that energy is obtained from food, and the food material taken in during the process of nutrition is used in the cells to provide energy for various life processes. Now the nutrition or the food provides us nutrients. But how the decomposition of the food is taking place, that is important. Now, the nutrition or the decomposition of food takes place in different manners in different organisms. Many of the organisms, they require oxygen for breaking down the food and finally obtaining the energy. Many of them do the energy production without the help of oxygen. So, and from where we are getting this oxygen? This is obtained from respiration. Actually, one step of respiration, that is breathing. So, breathing is a physical activity of inhaling and exhaling the gases. So this is just an external exchange of gases which takes place in the nasal cavity and in the lungs as well. Then what is respiration? Because earlier in the lower classes we used to think that respiration and breathing both are same. No. Respiration is more than breathing. And breathing is just one step of respiration. Now, how can we define respiration? Because respiration is a process of breaking down the food and finally obtaining the energy from it. Now, let us see how to define respiration. So, let's put all these things in words. So, respiration is a process of breaking down complex food with the help of oxygen, in which large amount of energy is released. So what is respiration? Respiration is a process of breaking down the complex food with the help of oxygen, in which the large amount of energy is released or produced. As I told you that in many of the organisms, respiration can be without the presence of oxygen, and in many of them it is in the presence of oxygen. That means the complex food is broken down either in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen in different organisms. So when respiration occurs in the presence of oxygen, then this respiration is called aerobic respiration. Aerobic means having air or the oxygen in it. So aerobic respiration is the process of breaking down the food into simpler form with the help of oxygen, and during this reaction large amount of energy is released. Then the other type is anaerobic respiration. That means the process of respiration is occurring without the presence of oxygen, or you can say in absence of oxygen, when food is broken down to develop or to generate energy then that kind of respiration is called anaerobic respiration. So the glucose, which is the food actually that we intake, is a 6-carbon molecule, C6H12O6. It has to be decomposed. So when in cytoplasm or in the blood, you say, when it is being decomposed, then it first converts into pyruvate. And pyruvate is a 3-carbon molecule. That means one molecule of glucose will provide us 2 molecules of pyruvate. But still it is a 3-carbon molecule of pyruvate, and along with the production of pyruvate, a small amount of energy is also released. But this is not enough for a multicellular organism, as we need more amount of energy to do various works. So as I told you that the decomposition of food can take place in many situations. It can take place in absence of oxygen, in lack of oxygen, or in presence of oxygen. So let us see how it happens and which one is more efficient. So pyruvate, it has 3 options depending upon in which organism it is present and through which situation it is going on. Depending upon, it can choose any of the options. So the first pathway is that pyruvate gets decomposed into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and a large amount of energy is related in this. So still we have the 2-carbon molecule or 2-carbon product of which is called as ethanol. This process is taking place in the absence of oxygen. For example, yeast. In yeast, these kind of procedure is followed to obtain the energy. So you can say that anaerobic respiration takes place in most of the bacteria and fungi. You might have noticed that the activity number 6.5 of your NCERT also tells us the production of carbon dioxide when the anaerobic respiration is happening. So whenever these kind of reactions are what kind of reactions? Fermentation reactions. So generally these are fermentation reactions which are having the absence of oxygen, and in the absence of oxygen the food is converted into the ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Then second option is lack of oxygen. For example, we are running, then we are not able to properly breathe in, breathe out. That means our body at the time of running, it requires more amount of energy. So that causes a lack of oxygen inside our muscles. So when the muscle cells, they have the lack of oxygen at that time, because that time also the body needs energy. That time pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon molecule, gets converted into another carbon product which is lactic acid. Lactic acid is also a 3-carbon molecule, and in this reaction also the release of energy takes place. Now the third option is when the efficient or enough amount of oxygen is present. For example, the mitochondria of the cell. So here when the oxygen is present, then pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon molecule, finally gets converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So these are the 3 pathways which a food can obtain, food can choose to get decomposed in different situations of oxygen. Now all these 3 reactions are producing amount of energy, but here we still have the decomposed food and a large amount of energy is not produced. Here we have the 3 carbon molecule, but still amount of energy released is less. But here in the third option, when the oxygen is present, then the glucose, which was earlier the glucose 6 carbon molecule, and now it has been converted into pyruvate. So now pyruvate is being converted finally into carbon dioxide, H2O and energy. So food is converted totally into the bioproducts and complete digestion is taking place. Here in this reaction, large amount of energy is released. So this is the most efficient way to obtain the energy. Now we have produced the energy with the help of oxygen. But is this energy is directly used to process various activities in the cell? No. Actually, this energy is utilized to convert the ADP into ATP. What is ADP? Adenosine diphosphate, and being converted into adenosine triphosphate. So this energy released during the cellular respiration is immediately used to synthesize a molecule called ATP. So this is to synthesize ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. Now this molecule is further used as a fuel for rest of the activities of the cell. So this is the main objective, main motive of ours, that we have to generate the energy resources for the cells. So you can say this is also called energy currency of the cell. Why so? Because energy is stored here, and this energy is being used by the cell for doing many other activities or many of its functions. So we have a chemical reaction that takes place here, that ADP, adenosine diphosphate, which is present in the cell, is using up the energy released in the cellular respiration, and during this one more active phosphate group gets attached with this. So using this energy, one more phosphate is getting attached to it, and now it is converted into adenosine triphosphate. So here now we have the 3 phosphate groups are there. So this energy, this equation is using up the energy to carry out the reaction. So this is also called an endothermic, or especially not endothermic, it's an endothermic reaction, because it is using up the energy to carry out a particular reaction. Now let us understand that how the plants, they are absorbing the or in what kind of respiration is occurring in the plants and animals. So dear children, we all know that plants, they absorb CO2 for making their own food, but they also require oxygen for their normal processing of their body. For their energy generation also they need oxygen. So CO2 is just taken in for the photosynthesis and is absorbed during night. And in the daytime, most of the plant, they proceed with photosynthesis to make their food. And in that process, they are releasing oxygen, which is respiratory gas for us. So that is life sustaining gas for us, which we intake during all the time, or even when we are not actively doing it. It's going on every time, every moment. Now, they also collect oxygen whenever required. If we talk about the animals, then animals, they take up the atmospheric oxygen with the help of breathing. Then what about the aquatic animals like fish? They take this oxygen dissolved in water. So they take up the oxygen dissolved in water in the form of H2O. So as we all know that in comparison to the atmospheric oxygen, the oxygen present in the water is less. So they need to breathe more faster than us so that they can properly take up the oxygen amount in enough amount. So you might have noticed that fishes, they open up their eyes and their gills very fast so that they can take up the water inside them, so that the water will flow on their blood cells and there the exchange of gases will take place. Now let us understand what is respiration in humans, or how the respiration takes place in humans. As we all know that we are the complex structures, we have specified organs to perform a particular function. So respiration is composed of 4 steps. There are basic 4 steps which are occurring in the respiration. The first is breathing. Breathing is the process of inhaling and exhaling the gases. Now, which gas we are inhaling? O2, that is oxygen, and exhaling out, that is CO2. We'll understand that how this inhalation and exhalation of gases is done. This is called mechanism of breathing. Then the second step is external respiration. Now what do you mean by external respiration? Simply, this is the exchange of gases between blood and the lungs. This is just a brief introduction about the 4 steps. When we are doing the respiration system or respiratory system in humans, then you will understand that where all these steps are taking place. Then we have the internal respiration. Internal respiration means the respiration or the exchange of gases between the blood and the tissues of the organ. Then we have the cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is finally utilizing the oxygen which was given away by the blood to the tissue cells. There the production of ATP happens, which is the energy currency of the cell. So there between the cells that exchange the gas exchange that takes place is called the cellular respiration. Then as the respiratory system has to perform many of the functions like respiration, breathing, internal, external respiration, cellular respiration, so they should have some characteristics features. Which are they? That they should have large surface area. Now what is the requirement of large surface area? The more the surface area, the more the exchange of gases can take place. So large surface area should be provided. Then the organs or the walls of the cells where the exchange takes place should be very thin and permeable. What next? We have to exchange the gases between the lungs and the blood. So there should be enough supply or abundant supply of blood. Enough supply of blood is required. Here we have the respiratory organs. The respiratory system composed of nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi and bronchioles and lungs. Now let us try making all these parts or the respiratory system of the humans. The humans, they have the nose. So I'm just making the head. And here we have the nose and here we have the mouth. So the openings from nose and mouth both are here. Then we have the windpipe, which is called as pharynx, but before that we have a special kind of structure just above the trachea. So here this is our nose, and the two holes present in our nose, let's say if this is the nose, then there will be on both the sides one nostril or hole. So these are called nostrils. So this is our nasal cavity. Here we have the pharynx. Starting from the nasal cavity till the top part of the trachea, we have the pharynx. So here we have the nasal cavity. This is our nose and nostrils both. Then we have the pharynx. So this much portion is called the pharynx. Then we have the topmost layer of the topmost part of the trachea. This much portion is called the larynx. Larynx is also called as voice box, because here from this portion of our respiratory organ we are able to produce the sound. Then we have the trachea, which is also called as windpipe. Windpipe is having it's not having the smooth skin, it is having the C-shaped cartilaginous rings on it, and these rings help the trachea not to collapse, because when we inhale or exhale, then what happens, there is a possibility that at the time of exhaling the amount of gases, this windpipe can collapse. So these rings prevent the trachea from collapsing. Then this trachea divides into the bronchi. Bronchus is the singular one, and bronchi, because we have the true bronchia, so they are called as bronchi, like this. And from here itself they enter into the lungs. So these are our lungs. Which are protected under the rib cage of our chest cavity or thoracic cavity. Here we have the heart. So heart and lungs both are protected with the help of rib cages. So here we have the rib cages, but I am not showing you them here because we have to talk about the respiratory system now. So trachea gets divided into the two parts, bronchi. So these are the bronchi, and these bronchi are now entering into the lungs. So this one for a single lung is the primary bronchi. Then it keeps on dividing. So these becomes the secondary ones, and further when they keep on dividing, then they are called as tertiary bronchi. So this is how they extend. But at the end we have the sac-like structures or the finally circular shaped balls, which are very small. So how we are having them here? That here at the end of the bronchi we have the bronchioles. So here we have the grape-like structures, or you can say the circular balls. Like this. And there are numerous of bronchioles present in the lungs. So it is the actual site of exchange of gases. Here also the cartilaginous layers are present, so that the trachea would not collapse. Here we have a muscular diaphragm which separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Abdominal cavity is the lower part which is having the stomach in it, and the upper cavity, which is called as thoracic cavity or chest cavity, is having the lungs and heart. And this layer or this muscular layer separates these two cavities, and this is called as the diaphragm. Now let us just try once that whether these organs, they have the feature which I told you now. The first feature was that they should have large surface area. So we know that trachea gets divided into bronchi, then bronchi further divides into primary, secondary and tertiary bronchioles, and finally into the small bag-like structures which are called as alveoli or alveolus as a singular one, and alveoli when so many of the alveolus are present. So alveoli is the sac-like structure or small bags-like structure which are almost circular in shape, and it is having a single cell wall. So this is how we have a large surface area now. So they have the large surface area, the alveoli are very thin and they are permeable. So exchange of gases takes place very easily here, and the alveoli are supplied with numerous blood capillaries. So here we have the abundant blood supply also, so that the exchange of gases between the blood and alveoli can take place very easily. Now let us understand the mechanism of breathing first, which is the first step of respiration. So what happens in the process of breathing? We inhale oxygen and we exhale the carbon dioxide. So when we inhale, what we do? When we take a deep breath, then we are expanding our lungs. Now why we are expanding the lungs? So that the space or the volume of lungs increases and the pressure inside the lungs decreases. Because when large space is here and it is having a less amount of gases in it, then the pressure decreases. And this pressure is lower than the atmospheric pressure, or you can say the pressure outside the human body. So we all know that the gases, exchange of gases takes place in the direction of lower pressure. We know that gases moves from a higher pressure to a lower pressure, and that's how the inhalation of the gases is done. When there is a lower pressure inside the lungs, then the gases from outside moves inward, or we inhale the air. Then what happens at the time of exhalation? During the time of exhalation, we contract our lungs so that the volume can be decreased and pressure inside the chest cavity or the lungs can be increased. So because of it, what happens? The gases present inside the lungs will come outside the body through the nasal cavity. So here, what are the main parts which are playing role in breathing? Nasal cavity, lungs, and and along with them, one major role is played by the diaphragm, that muscular structure that divides the thoracic and abdominal cavity. Now let us have a look at how the diaphragm is playing a role in breathing. So children, you might be clearly able to see that generally the diaphragm is a dome-shaped structure. It is present like this. This is how it normally divides the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. But during the time of inspiration or inhalation of the gases, what happens? This diaphragm becomes contracted. So diaphragm gets contracted, so it leaves its original place and comes a little down. Why it do so? So that the expansion of lungs, because the lungs are getting expanded. So to provide the space to the lungs, it comes down from its original position. Its original position is its relaxed state. So diaphragm contracts, the lungs they expand, and this is how the volume increases and pressure decreases. So this arrow is showing that the diaphragm is decreasing, and that's how the inhalation of gases takes place. Then during the time of expiration or exhalation, when we are removing the gases out of the lungs, then this diaphragm relaxes, goes up, the lungs are contracting so that the pressure can be created inside the lungs and the gases will come out of the nasal cavity. So this is how the breathing is done. Now let us understand that how the exchange of gases takes place in the respiratory organs. So here you can see all the parts which I have already I have explained to you, that here we have the nasal cavity or the nose. So the inhalation of gases is done with the help of nose. Then the gas comes into the pharynx. So pharynx is having a flap or a cartilaginous flap which covers the food pipe, and it covers the windpipe so that food will not enter into it while eating. So now the wind or the air through the nasal cavity, first it passes through the pharynx and then it comes to the larynx. You can see it here that that is the upper part of the trachea is called the larynx or voice box. So here we have the trachea. You can also see the C cartilaginous ring-shaped muscles present on the trachea. So the wind blows into the lungs through the trachea. It goes into the bronchus or bronchi, because we have two lungs, so we have two bronchi, so we can call them as bronchi. And then further bronchi divide into primary, secondary and tertiary bronchioles. And finally we have the alveolus. Alveolus as the small sacs in which the gas exchange takes place. So here you can see the small bag-like structures where the gas exchange takes place. Now let us understand that how the exchange of gases takes place at the alveoli. So here we have the alveoli which are present in the lungs. Then if we take up a zoom up view of one alveoli, then this is the one alveolar sac. This is very thin and just a single cell layer is on it. This is the alveolar cavity in which the oxygen is filled when the inhalation is done. So this cavity expands and there is an abundant supply of blood capillaries around it. So these are the blood capillaries which are having the blood flowing in them. So here we obtain a very close contact between the oxygen and the blood. Now the exchange of gases takes place here. What happens here? That the blood, which is carrying the red blood cells, so these red colored cells are called as red blood cells present in our blood. They have a pigment called hemoglobin, and that hemoglobin is able to attach the oxygen with it. So this behaves as a oxygen carrier. It takes up the oxygen from it, and as it also performs as the to deliver the carbon dioxide, because blood is carrying the carbon dioxide also, which it has collected from the various cells of the body. After all the oxygen is converted into work, then we obtain the carbon dioxide, which is carried by the blood here. So that CO2 is given into the alveolar sac and O2 is taken out from the alveolar cavity. This kind of exchange of gases, O2 and CO2 both, is called the external respiration. So here it is the external respiration, which is the exchange of gases between the lungs and the blood. So now this blood will go on, because now it has absorbed oxygen from it and it has dumped the carbon dioxide in it, which can be thrown out by the process of exhalation. Now these blood cells, as these are carrying blood, and this blood is kept on circulating through whole body. So this blood will go to the various parts of the body it give the oxygenated blood to the cells. And how this is done? That this is the red blood cell. When oxygen is absorbed by it, then the oxygen is getting attached with the this pigment, which is called as hemoglobin. So it gets attached with the oxygen gets attached with the hemoglobin, and then when the blood is transferred through the cells, then the oxygen is given to the cells and carbon dioxide is taken up from it, and the process continues. So this is the exchange of gases between the cells and the blood. It is called as internal respiration. Now the further process will happen inside the cells. Cells will take up this oxygen and will convert that ADP into ATP for further utilization of energy. And in this process also, here we are providing the energy, and then endothermic reaction is happening and ATP is formed. ATP is a currency cell of the currency cell, or you can say the cells, they store the energy in the form of ATP and they use it for the further workings of it. So this is the cellular respiration. This process is the cellular respiration. So this is how the whole respiratory system works, and all these steps I have explained to you. So basically in the respiration, two gases are transported in the body, O2 and CO2, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So always remember that out of 100% of the oxygen inhaled in the lungs, 97% is attached with the hemoglobin present in the red blood cells, and only 3% oxygen is being transferred by dissolving into the plasma. Plasma is the liquid blood. So in that also the oxygen is dissolved, but 97% it gets attached with the hemoglobin, which carries the oxygen further through the cells. And then CO2 is more soluble in water than oxygen. So it gets dissolved in the plasma, and 5 to 7% of the carbon dioxide gets dissolved in the plasma, and through this it is transported. Then 70% of carbon dioxide is transported in the form of bicarbonates. What are bicarbonates? HCO3 negative. So it is in the plasma only, but in the form of bicarbonate ions. Then rest of the 23% or 25% is being transferred by getting attached with the hemoglobin as well, which is also called as carb-amino hemoglobin. When the CO2 is being transferred or transported with the help of attaching it with the hemoglobin, and the same happens when the hemoglobin is getting oxygen is getting attached with the hemoglobin, that it is called as oxyhemoglobin. Now let us see today's homework. We have 4 questions in today's homework. In-text questions at page number 105 from your NCERT. So question number 1 is, what advantage over an aquatic organism does a terrestrial organism have with regard to obtaining oxygen for respiration? Question number 2 is, what are the different ways in which glucose is oxidized to provide energy in various organisms? 3. How is oxygen and carbon dioxide transported in human beings? Question number 4 is, how are lungs designed in human beings to maximize the area for exchange of gases? So these are the 4 questions. Along with this, you are also supposed to make the notes of the video lecture, and the homework solution of lecture number 2 will be discussed in the online class. Thank you.